Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. We've entered the unhinged portion of our programming tonight. But before we get into this unhinged rant, I first would like to say hi. Welcome in. If you've just joined us, welcome to Lady Arcaders. Lady Arcaders is an all-women's gaming collective that welcomes all women in gaming, speedrunners, developers, casual fans alike. If, in addition to our cozy private channel, we run weekly showcases on our Twitch channel, as well as larger charity events throughout the year. And we get to have such awesome showcases just like this beautiful rant that is going to become with our wonderful Professor Bun and Alara. BunniestBunRena, take us away, please.
Oh boy. Welcome everyone. I made it. I'm back. I'm alive. I'm real. Don't let the allegations get to you. The rumors of my death were greatly exaggerated. And I brought pizza for you all too. We're going to be talking about Guilty Gear for the foreseeable future. Oh, pizza's kicking in. And
what kind of pizza is it?
It's cheese pizza. You know, I mean, I try to keep it bland, you know, for, you know, the class. By the way, you're all free to take a slice. I got enough for everyone. And, you know, I don't like it sitting out doing nothing, so feel free to grab some. But, that aside, I'm excited. If you were here for Blaze Blue, I apologize because you might be getting a smidgen of deja vu, but thus is the nature of these two series.
This is where it started.
Yeah, Daisuke's original vision. Blessed be. We love Daisuke. We love Daisuke. What a funny man. Makes rock music. But this is gonna be pretty much going through as much of the series as I can. We won't be talking about most of the characters because, like, all the side characters, they all go and go off and do their own thing 95% of the time, and sometimes they drop in to be important. But for the most part, they just, like, stay off to the side. Like, I don't think we're gonna mention Jam, like, a single time. I'm sorry. Okay, we'll mention her once.
No. Yeah, I was gonna say, Jam comes up.
We'll mention her one time. As a little treat. But aside from that, you know, we're not gonna be talking about a lot of the side characters. If you want that, you can go play the games. They're pretty good. They're pretty exciting. And we simply don't have time. We'll be here forever, which is wild, given how much was written for this game. So much. Daisuke never stops. He's a powerhouse. He's a workhorse. He's crazy with it, and I'm so here for it. As I have steadily fallen more and more in love with Guilty Gear. It's been like a long time coming. I've always been more of a Blaze Blue enjoyer, but I couldn't keep away. I couldn't keep away. Let's just say it like that. And now I play. Now I try to play competitively. So oops. Wonder how that happened. That aside, with my lovely classmates, feel free to introduce themselves and grab a slice. I mean, it's pretty delicious. I got it from Blaze Pizza.
Hello, everyone. You may have heard my voice by now. My name's Alara, and I played a lot of Guilty Gear growing up, but I kind of fell off the wayside a couple of games ago, so I'm not fully up to date.
You missed the wildest stuff, too. That's the wild thing.
And I am Ophelia. Y'all have heard me before, and I'm here to learn, and I was told there is pizza, so I am also here for pizza.
Excellent. Grab as much as you like.
I consider me pulled up to the pizza, listening
Perfect.
incredibly intently.
Perfect. We love to see it. All right. Now if we may get started here, I guess we can start the timer now. if we must. Though we're probably gonna go over, knowing me. We have to start pretty much in the exact place that you would imagine. That's right, we are going to start in the wonderful year of our Lord, the distant far future of 1999. Because I don't know why, but the lore starts basically here, technically a lot earlier, but we'll get there. We'll get there. But for now, we just want to start in 1999. Because 1999, something wild happens. The turn of the millennium, basically. Y2K is real in the Guilty Gear universe. Y2K is real, and it happened. All of the technology started going absolutely haywire out of nowhere. And it's we presume it's like silicon circuits and like digital stuff, because I mean, technology going haywire is kind of a very vague way to put it, but you know, cell phones and stuff. They were going wild at the turn of the millennium. Now what that was, we'll get into it later, like way later. But I promise it's important. But the real thing to mention is that technology is now a no-no thing. Technology is bad. We can't have technology anymore. Digital stuff is out. And instead, we have a magical man come along. He just happens to come along. Just happens to show up around this time. And he goes by the Original. And he basically comes over and says, hey, technology sucks, right? It all got haywire. Allow me to introduce you to better technology, magic. You want magic? We got magic. And now the Guilty Gear universe is like run by cool magic. Post 2000. So
this person will surely never come up in lore again.
Oh dear. But yeah, the Original comes to Earth, gives everyone magic, and just kind of hangs around for a little bit and sort of fades into the background as everyone sort of steadily forgets. Along with this this group of people who they come together at the advent of magic. They're like a council. They're like a council of like 5 people or so, and they come together and they start putting together the magical technology, the cool technology that won't freak out, so to say. They put that together and start introducing it to the world and start distributing it, and it becomes normal. Now, I believe through all of this, the continent, not the continent, I'm losing it already. That's bad sign. The country of India just says no. We like our cell phones. We want to keep them, and we're not going to get rid of them. And so, using digital technology, or black technology as it is called, because it's just so dangerous, they essentially separate from the rest of the world. They become like their own independent nation. And this whole independent nation situation will develop steadily, slowly but surely, and eventually come back around, I'm sure. But that does happen, I think.
Oh my god, I completely had forgotten. You just unlocked so many core memories. I've completely forgotten about the whole India thing and what they do and what they do afterwards, and oh god.
It's a good time, it's a good time.
It is a time. You are correct, it is very much a time.
But, So, you know, we're getting into, like, new fancy magic technology. Mages are, like, starting to become, like, a normal thing. Much like when we discussed Blaze Blue, it becomes, like, pretty normal, to, like, have magic. It stops being, like a weird thing, and it starts getting normalized. It's like, your buddy probably could do, like a cool fireball or something. Which is very funny.
From what I recall, it was like one of the big things that gets called out is like specifically Asian populations in Japan of note develop magic, which is like a whole thing. Being Japanese is literally a superpower in the Guilty Gear franchise.
Japan has their own magic going on, actually. Japan is super special with their magic because they don't just have normal magic. They have key magic. And key magic is special because it breaks all of the known laws of normal magic. So they just have, like, objectively better magic in Japan. And only Japan. I don't know how that happens.
Chinese individuals also do, because Jam also has access to key.
Oh no, you took up our one Jam mention. We're not going to be able to do it later now.
No, it's fine. That one doesn't count. You can only bring Jam up once.
Okay. But yeah, magic becomes like a more normal thing, and it starts getting integrated into normal society. And as it gets introduced into normal society, nations start being like, oh, well, now that we're like on the whole magic wavelength, let's start screwing around with it. Let's start screwing around with magic, see what we can do. So, presumably, in America, asterisk, we don't actually know, but it was probably America. An initiative is started. The Gear Project, which is where we get Gears and like the namesake of the series. There are 3 people that are actually important here in the Gear Initiative. 3 scientists. One, his name's Fred. Hi, Fred. Nice to meet you. Fred will be very important. The second one is Arya. And the third one is a man that for a very long time we are going to be calling That Man. Real title, That Man. They will be known as That Man for the foreseeable future, asterisk. And it's not even like a weird translation thing or like a weird naming thing. No. Their name in Japanese is the phrase "that man over there," but just in Japanese.
And this is not Rena being cute. In the games, I don't even know what game they officially give more information on their like actual name, but the games call them That Man.
Here's
Up
That Man.
through like at least XX, they're just called That Man.
So, these 3 scientists work together to start essentially modifying already existing cells to create gear cells, essentially, which are like just like super cool. They're like super cool cells. They make super cool things happen. Basically whatever Daisuke wants at that moment. And so they start testing on people, and they start developing the gear technology so they can start on this like sort of like superhuman kind of project kind of thing. It's kind of unclear what they were going for at first, but it will. Don't worry, we're doing it in America, so it's going to eventually turn into a weapon. We'll get there. But along this time, yes, Fred and Arya, blessed be their hearts, they get together. They fall in love and they get together, and they like get ready to like start a family and everything. They're together now. and they get excited. However, unfortunately, Arya gets like deadly sick, right? Gets deadly sick. Very unfortunate.
Movie love interest syndrome.
Yeah, it's very sad. And unfortunately does in fact die. Very sad. And this takes a kind of a hit to the gear project. But we still have to do stuff with it. And meanwhile, while Fred is like looking for a cure for this disease. By the way, I'm not drawing. We're good. We're good. I'm just getting the basics out of the way. Yes. While Fred is working on a cure, that man is still working on the project, and we were going to get into this later. We are going to get into this later. Don't ask questions now. We're going to get into it later, but that man has access to some very important powers. I think they're called seeds. I think.
Yeah. Seeds.
Yes, the seeds, right? There's 2 of them. And they're going to also be very important. The first one is the scales of Juno. And the scales of Juno are important. Because they're we'll get into it why later. And the other is the flame of corruption. They're these, like, essentially universal, like a universal chaos and like a universal order, you know? So, after Arya dies, and after, that man starts finishing up with the gear stuff, to finish the gear project and make the first gear, he takes the flame of corruption and gently inserts it into Fred to make him the first gear. And of course, Fred is not cool with this. That sucks. I just lost my wife and now I'm a gear. Everything sucks. And he storms out and destroys a bunch of stuff on the way out. Fine.
Of note, he is often referred to as the prototype gear. Not that comes up very much. I have a quick question though. Ufi, are you following even remotely what's going on?
A little bit. A little bit. I'm here and I'm listening and I'm like, okay, I have...
No, you don't understand. I need you to understand what you're hearing and comprehend, because this is the sane part of the story.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna get rougher from here. I assure you.
Okay, I'm buckled in. I'm here.
Let's see if I can draw this funny man as I explain, huh? Yeah, I don't even know if he wears this outfit. I don't know what his old outfit is. I know he's got like a he's gotta have belts. He's got the belt with 3 on it, right? That's him, I think. But Fred here, goes off, very mad about everything, a very bad guy, if we will. We'll get there. And, leaving, that man, and essentially a dead corpse, kind of just to chill on their own. Very unfortunate. But they did make a gear, so the United States is like, awesome! Great, we're gonna get more people on this, we're gonna start working on some real stuff now. So now they know how to make gears, it is time to make the gear, to end all gears, and make a bunch of gears, just like start mass producing them, start making a bunch of them, primarily to beat people up, because of course they did, it's America. And
If
for
we're
that...
building anything, it is to beat people up. That is one thing I know.
Yes, of course. Very important. He's got the vest, right? He's got the vest. This old bad guy wears a vest. He's got big muscles.
It also helps that like gears are almost explicitly made to be weapons. Like at this point, they're all but just treated as like the equivalent of nukes. They're basically these biological robots that are just made to destroy. It's basically like you're making Mecha Hulk is the best way I can explain it. It's biological Mecha Hulk.
Oh, man.
And only some of them look human.
Yeah, the whole gear thing, gears could basically be anything. It's great. So sword in the old game is actually pretty subdued, which is very funny. It's like a fairly normal sword, which is kind of wild. What's up, bad guy? It'll come together when I draw the head. Get the thing.
Also, shoutouts to one of our arcaders, Soul, because, you know, sharing a name with our protagonist.
And, but, you know, so they start mass producing a bunch of gears, and there's like a bunch of kinds. Some of them are humanoids, some of them not so much. Some of them are like giant dinosaurs, and some of them are Leopold, who is just a funny little dog. Miss you, Leopold, with every day. But that man, essentially, to make the gear of all gears, we're gonna start referring to as a command type gear, which we'll get into it. But to make a command type gear, takes that Scales of Juno that he still has around, and slides it gently into Arya's corpse, and makes a super gear out of what's left of her. Presumably her soul's still like kicking around to make it happen. And they make a super weapon by the name of Justice. And as stated earlier, command type gear. Different from normal gears. Command type gears, which there are only a few of them, and they're all basically Justice and anyone who happens to be a descendant of Justice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, command type gear has the ability to control other gears. Even if, like, the gears in, like, question have, like, enough free will to, like, act on their own and, like, feel stuff, they'll still completely succeed to a command gear. They'll still listen. And, naturally, as you could imagine, this does not go well. Wild, I know. They built a giant super weapon, and it didn't turn out that great. This is wild.
I have never heard of something like that happening ever.
I know. It's a big shock, but of course, Justice, they lose control of Justice pretty quickly, and that man takes a turn for the worst, and orders Justice to essentially start a new war and blows up Japan. All of it. Japan is gone in the Guilty Gear universe. Justice blew the whole thing up. That whole island, gone. It's water now. So
It's a time.
So Justice blew up all of Japan and started a giant war against the Gears, called the Crusades, because of course it was called the Crusades. In response, you know, the entire globe goes into calamity because there's gears everywhere now, because of course they just would not stop making gears. Gotta get this headband on. Look at this fucking headband. It would not be a design in the early 2000s if there wasn't a headband.
This is true.
Yeah, there we go. What's up, Soul Bagay? It's got the. Let me see if I can draw it. Yeah. Ponytail. Yeah.
By the way, Ufi, everything you're going to see and hear, if it sounds like it could potentially kind of maybe be a music reference,
It is.
it's because it is a music reference.
It
I
is.
kind of assumed at this point in time. I've just been like, okay.
Oh,
Okay,
absolutely.
I see how this is going.
Oh,
I see.
absolutely. I neglected to mention that the big gears, like the very big ones, are classified as Megadeth gears, but they are, which should tell you where we're at.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That is. Love it.
Also, Fred's full name is Frederick Mars. And Freddie Mercury had an album called Mr. Bad Guy.
So,
just a fun little aside.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my. Oh my.
Daisuke is a big rock fan. If you couldn't tell by the fact that he has made all the music for the series, and you're listening to it right now, and I don't think there's been a single track that has gone without an electric guitar. So, This peach is good. And now where were we? The Crusades. So, the Crusades start in the World of Stone and Chaos. The Holy Order is formed at this time to fight the Gears. And the Holy Order is just like a collection of like the best fighters and mages and stuff that they got. And one of the important players of the Crusades, and also just in general, is a man by the name of Kai Keese. And that is how you pronounce the name, I believe. It's not Kisuke, it's Keese, which it infuriates me so much. But it is unfortunately true.
I think my favorite part is, in the games, they call him Kai Kisuke. Like, officially, his name is Kai Kisuke. But if you listen to, like, the early games when they first started doing the audio dubbing, they call him Kai Kisuke.
I won't question Daisuke's grand vision. Maybe there's a reason for it, but you know.
I think it's no one gave them a pronunciation guide, or no one was a fan of Halloween, because guess what? The guitarist and the singer are called Kai Hansen and Michael Kisuke.
Well, you know. It's okay. We respect the grand vision. He's good. There we go. There we go. Here's our man. What's up, Soul Bad Guy? But Kai Kisuke is important. He's got the Thunder Brand. It's a cool weapon. A group whose name I don't remember. They start making anti-gear weapons for the Holy Order and stuff. A lot of weird weapons and stuff. It's their fault. They're anti-gear weapons. So I think the Thunder Brand is one of them. I think Soul Bad Guy has the Fire Brand in the beginning here.
Yeah.
So those are both anti-gear weapons. If you've ever wondered what the deal with like Eddie and Milia are, where they have like sentient parts of their body, that's also their fault. They made those as well, and that's a whole side tangent about like what kind of weapons they are and their
sacred
whole
weapons.
story.
I think is what they're called.
Sacred weapons, something like that.
Sacred treasures.
I want to say you're right, but I'm not sure. But
it's something along those lines.
Yeah. All you need to know is Zadho ripped out his eyes, and now his Shadow's sentient, and who knows what Milia did, but now she has mix-ups for days. And so, you know, this group starts making a bunch of anti-gear weapons for the war effort, and the other person we need to pay attention to is a mysterious man by the name of Soul Bad Guy, who I've helpfully drawn up here. Soul Bad Guy up here. Mysterious man came out of nowhere. Definitely not a gear. of course, definitely not. Joins the Order to fight in the Crusades, and starts like a fun little rivalry with Kai. And they have a dynamic throughout the rest of the series where they're bros. They're bros. They kind of hate each other, but in that like, I can't believe you keep beating me kind of way. So they get that, and they there's also, I believe, Cliff Anderson,
Who's Kai's dad.
Yes, he's Kai's dad. Wow.
Yeah, he's Kai's adoptive father.
That's so funny. Cliff Anderson is also a part of this war, and he's got like a giant sword. He's very funny because he's like the coolest. He's the coolest man you know, but he's like in his like 80s, but he still got it. He still got it. So, these warriors, they fight together to fight the Gears. And the Crusades do end up going pretty okay. Obviously, it's still a war. A lot of people end up dying, of course, and everything is thrown into complete disarray. Yada yada yada. But in terms of like, on the scale of things that could have happened, it went pretty okay because the lower end was all of humanity goes extinct. So, I mean, all things considered, did pretty okay in the war against the Gears. The Holy Order takes down Justice and seals Justice away because they can't find a way to actually kill Justice. They just have to seal Justice away for later. That's someone else's problem in the future. And now
this will in no way bite them in the ass.
This will never be a problem in the future. We're completely safe. Everything is fine. And from that, the world is sort of left to pick up the pieces of what's like left. America got wiped out in the process. It's now just a place called a country for a long time until we get like farther in the future. But for now, America doesn't exist anymore. It needs to be reestablished. India, it kept on going with all their cool digital technology stuff, which I don't think backfires on them. And they... I don't think it does.
The technology doesn't backfire on them.
Well, okay, the technology doesn't backfire on them, but it's got its own problems. But India, they like construct a giant ship to place their like capital on, and they just like fly up into the air, and they become their own independent nation called Zep, which has its own Unhinged Rant all contained there. Because of course it does.
Okay, we're not touching Zep. Got it.
We can lightly touch Zep when we need to. Otherwise, we'll be here forever. Taking notes of this, what is left of America during the Crusades also builds giant ship underneath their capital, and we'll get to that later. And I believe Europe, all of the Europe up there, and this general surrounding area, I believe they sort of form around the Holy Order a little bit, and start trying to like get a nation back up. They will get a nation back up eventually, but for now they're kind of just futzing around as the Holy Order. And Japan's gone, so we know what they're doing. And and
the UN becomes a like military organization. Like it's literally an army now.
Yeah.
Like not even anything else. It's not, oh, they have a military organization.
No, they are
no. They straight up just are a military.
They are military.
Okay.
They form around the like people that were making the weapons, and they just become a military. It's very wild. So the world is getting back to being relatively-ish normal. We can start making technology again, doing magic stuff again. Very fun. But like so many years later, many years later after all of this, rumors start going around on, you know, around the world that the seal that is holding justice back is starting to weaken. And this is bad news bears. We saw what happened last time we let justice be real. Bad news. So, what's left of the Holy Order, of course, because this is a fighting game, put together a fighting game type tournament to see who the strongest warrior is, so they can fight Justice when Justice eventually gets unsealed. And we finally, after all that, have made it to the missing link here. We've made it to the first Guilty Gear. We finally made it. We got all the preamble out of the way. Of course, none of what you just heard is actually said in the game, so who knows what they were thinking back then, but we're finally at the first game, which is essentially the events of this tournament. And thankfully, we can start moving a little quicker, because the games are a little more condensed, because they didn't know they were writing an entire novel yet, supposedly. But the events for the Missing Link are pretty chill. Let me see if I can draw an old Testament. What does Testament look like?
Oh God. Good luck to you.
Let me see what does Testament look like originally? Oh no, this is bad news, bears.
Testament. Okay, so for those that you don't know, a little bit of world context for Guilty Gear. The Guilty Gear games are notorious for attracting the trans community. We have just reached the first of our trans representation in the Guilty Gear universe with Testament, who is non-binary. And also the person who is running the entire freaking tournament.
We got Boots here. Oh, we got Boots? Absolutely. I love that we got Boots. Excellent. Testament here is, yes, one of the people running the, oh, I got more belts. There's so many belts. I can't stop thinking of, I keep thinking of that bit that was going around Twitter for a little bit, where it's like Guilty Gear designs compared to Tekken designs. That one image is so solidified in my head. It's so good. But Testament here is running the Testament's gonna be a little wonky here because I ran out of vertical space. What's up, Testament? And then you got the weird leather chest piece, because of course, yeah, that's an arm. That's an arm. Ooh, maybe I could do something cool here. Who knows? Oh, not if I draw arms like this. Oh. Yeah. And where'd I get? I got room for Testament. Oh, poor Testament. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Testament. We'll get your locks in. We'll get your glorious hair. Whoa. Yeah, that's the stuff. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's Testament hair. That'll do fine. And Testament's got this giant scythe. This giant scythe. Where I put it behind Soul. But Testament is running the tournament along with the Holy Order. And Testament wants something very different to the rest of the Holy Order. Testament,
What?
I know, this is wild, but Testament is actually very pro justice. Very cool on reviving justice. I just scrolled up. Wonderful. Get back down here. But Testament actually wants to revive justice, and instead put the tournament together as a way of getting the strongest warriors together to sacrifice to justice, to like sort of sublimate them into justice, and eventually break the seal with the strongest warrior. So, you know, classic stuff. It's arranged, it's bad, and so it's up to Soul to beat up Testament at the end and stop this from happening. Wow. Yeah, there we go. There we go. The scythe is done.
The first of many sides.
Oh, great. Well, beautiful.
Because I think in this game alone, we have what, 3 sides, with
Yes.
2 of them going to Axel and 1 of them going to
Yes.
Testament.
We will be able to talk about Axel in due time. I'm itching to talk about Axel. I love Axel. But so Soul beats up Testament, and Testament ends up sacrificing themselves to Justice. So Justice revived, and Justice does in fact revive, and now it's up to Soul Bad Guy to beat up like a flawed Justice that's like just waking up and is still a little groggy, hasn't had their coffee yet, right? And of course this does work. It's fine because Soul Bad Guy is the coolest, and you know he's got the dragon install. Because if you haven't figured it out already, Soul Bad Guy is in fact our lovely man Fred from earlier, the first gear, and he utilizes gear powers to beat up Justice. Unfortunately for him, however, sorry, Jack-a-Dandy just started playing and it like completely short-circuited my brain. I'm sure you can understand. But Justice's like final words to Soul Bad Guy, I forget what they are exactly, but they're basically like, I wish the 3 of us could have met at another time, at another place. And so Soul finds out that that man is responsible for turning his wife into the gear of all gears. And not only that, but he did just kill his wife, which is going to be a running theme.
To be fair, she was wearing a giant Mecha Gundam suit.
So now, Soul Bad Guy swears revenge against that man, and by virtue of killing his wife and having inadvertently started this whole catastrophe, becomes the guilty gear. That's him. Soul Bad Guy is the guilty gear.
Roll credits.
He's so sad. He's so sad about his wife. And that's the missing link. That's that whole game.
Are you ready for the games to go unhinged, Doofy?
This wasn't Unhinged?
No! No!
Gosh. Okay.
This is the hinged part
I'm
of
buckled.
the story.
I'm buckled. Okay, let's
They
go.
have plenty of belts if you need more.
Oh, yeah. Oh. So now it's Guilty Gear X time. I think by this point, is it too far after the missing link? But I do believe that,
And
I
it's
might be wrong
3
here.
years after.
Yeah, something like that. I believe the Holy Order eventually finally coalesces into like a proper nation, and they become Illyria, which is sort of just like Europe, but like if they kept doing cool castles and kept doing cool knights and stuff like that. And it's got 3 kings, right? Which we'll get there. And I think Kai is one of them. Kai is one of them. He becomes like
He becomes later on.
Later
That's not
on.
for a long time.
That's a little bit. It's a little farther. It's a little farther.
Yeah.
Is that past X and XX? Is that for?
Oh yeah, that is definitely. That's like an Xrd.
Cool. All right, we'll get there.
So little tiny spoiler. They basically go, we'll kill your wife if you don't become king of our country.
Let's see if I can draw Justice here. Justice is very angular and size. No, you're a little bigger than that. Yeah, you're giant mech. I know. Yeah, sure. And yes, that's a Justice. And you gotta do one of these. Very important. I don't know why they did this to Justice.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were gonna draw that part.
Oh, absolutely. It's mad important. Robotic abs. Robot abs. Sure. And the giant. Yeah. And giant xenomorph tail, I'm pretty sure. If I remember the dust correctly. I'm pretty sure it's a giant xenomorph tail. And, yes. So I guess that country forms later, but, I think Kai right now is like an Interpol agent, actually.
Yeah.
Kai the Interpol agent.
He joins Interpol, then he joins the Holy Order.
Funny Interpol agent. So, Kai's international police now.
I mean, no, backwards. He's a Holy Order, then he joins Interpol. Whatever. It's some timeline like that. Kai's a cop. Yeah,
Kai's a cop. Which is still the wackiest things ever, but... yeah. Soul bad guys off doing, like, bounty hunter stuff. And all that fun things. Yeah, these are Justice heads.
Oh, and Cliff dies, so Kai's an orphan now.
07 for Cliff. Actually deserved so much better. And, oh gosh. Just like a giant... giant head. Yeah. There's a giant jaw. And got the... Rawr. Giant, vaguely dinosaur coated, but what must not be understated is the perfect, and I mean perfect, ponytail coming off of this. Absolutely beautiful. Very important. This is Justice-like enough. I'll take this. And, Guilty Gear X. We gotta talk about Justice again, actually, because, before Ari was turned into, Justice, I believe, Fred and Arya, they got it on in the bedroom, as we may say. That is to say, Arya's hella pregnant. So while Justice is like locked up and sealed away again, I believe she just like kind of feels like something's wrong and just like magic births a child. I don't really know how it happens, but like she puts an egg somewhere. They kind of fade
to black it a lot. They kind of like go like, yeah, stuff happened in the background. Don't look at it too hard.
Yeah, Justice has a child. Pops out an egg and like puts it somewhere.
No, she gives it to Testament.
Does she give it to Testament?
She gives it to Testament to hide, and Testament gives the child to like an old couple in the
Yeah.
forest.
I was thinking,
And
I
then
know
this
she gets
old-
found in the forest next to like an old
Yeah.
couple.
Yeah, so Testament is charged. Testament's back to life again. Don't question it.
Yeah, don't ask
Um,
that.
yeah.
Testament's back.
Okay.
Testament came back to life at some point. And Testament is charged with protecting the child, and the child basically ends up in the forest in the care of like an old couple whose names I don't think we ever find out.
No, it was just some random people.
This baby will clearly never be important in any way, shape, or form.
And so, the couple starts noticing that something is up. Something is weird. Because, of course, it's a gear. And gears age very quickly. So, like, 3 years in to, like, raising this child they found in the random forest, already looking vaguely like an adult, which is already suspicious and weird. And then the final straw is, they start, start growing wings, which is that's the big one. It starts growing wings. And so they're like, oh no, it's a gear. Bad news.
No. You're underselling my girl here. I love this character. She is my favorite character in all of fighting games.
I'm not.
Ren is doing a fantastic job indicating her wings. The part Ren is leaving out is that the wings also on their own transform into two beings, an angel and a demon.
They're the literal angel devil on her shoulders. They're very funny. So they're like, oh my god, it's a gear. Bad news. And word of this gets out that, hey, there's a gear out in the middle of who knows where, and it might be tied back to justice. That is a problem, because we've already been over the whole justice thing. Not good. So
and
it's
she's
now,
called the Maiden of the Forest.
and now it is our main character's job to go and find the character which we will now be referring to as Dizzy, because her name's Dizzy. I'll have to go find Dizzy, the child of justice, to make sure that this whole situation doesn't get out of hand. Even though I really think that they just kind of made it get out of hand really quickly all on their own. They didn't need Dizzy to do any of it.
Yeah.
But I believe the canon order on this is that Kai fights Dizzy first and
Gets his ass handed.
loses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kai loses.
Oh no, So, what you already mentioned is like, yeah, being a gear is genetic in this world. Like, being a gear is like a biological thing. It's kind of, gears are like robots, but they're like biological robots. So, any child of a gear is a gear. But that also means that the child of a command gear is also a command gear.
Mm-hmm.
So, take how powerful justice is. Now give this world-shattering power to a 3-year-old.
It's great. I love her. And
Without thinking about who her father is.
yeah, we'll get there eventually once you get to exit.
Yeah, but it's like, just think of who the parents are and realize if the power is genetic in this world, how powerful this child is.
So yeah, Kai loses, gets absolutely obliterated, and from that, I think there's some stuff that happens there. We'll get into it a little later in XX. I finished another slice. Y'all aren't taking any of this pizza. I mean, I'm fine with just eating all, but
I'm like halfway through my slice. I'm just not very hungry after dinner.
I am too engrossed in what's happening to be eating my pizza. It's like hovering right at my mouth all the time, where I'm just like, oh, okay.
Oh god, this means I have to draw Dizzy.
My condolences.
Well, we'll draw Dizzy.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people kind of tangentially coming in and out of the story in like vague ways. Like, she becomes friends with the airship pirates crew. She meets a whole bunch of people. She meets a whole bunch of assassins whose butt she kicks.
It's a great time around Dizzy. It's a great time. And
everyone wants Dizzy. Hence why this portion of the story is just like Soul's the guilty gear. Dizzy is the wanted gear. They all have weird names and titles.
It's great. It's great. Let me talk.
Oh, there's also like a massive bounty on her too. Like,
yeah, they
absurd.
were like, we're not dealing with it.
Yeah, like Elon Musk amounts of money for capturing her.
She's got this. What? This is nightmare. Yeah.
You are braver than me for even trying to draw Dizzy.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got this thing going on. She's got the giant shoulder pads. If I remember. She's got these giant, like... got these giant shoulder pads. I think this will suffice. And she doesn't even use them all. It's like... Whoop. Yeah, this is a fine enough Dizzy.
I'm still waiting for the new version of her full design because I kind of really want to cosplay
excited.
Dizzy. I want to cosplay her new costume.
Me too. I'm so excited for that. Do one of these. Yeah, and she's got some good hair. She's got the way I draw my hair. Oh boy, here we go. Now here's the fun part. Here's the fun part. It's like a... yeah, oh. Yeah. This is real, by the way. I'm not making this up. Yeah. Womp. Womp. I don't think I'll have enough room for the other one, but...
Vaguely throw it off screen, it's fine.
Yeah, and then this one's like a... No, this one's evil.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Yeah, it's literally like an angel and a devil. They're called Undine and Necro. Because they are people. Like, her entire fighting style in the game series is literally one distracts Dizzy while the other one attacks because she doesn't want to hurt anyone. And, like, one will trip her while the other becomes a giant hammer so they can slam it over the person's head.
Alright, we got the family portrait here. Oh, no, I forgot her tail. She's got a dragon tail. Sorry, I forgot the dragon tail.
She's got too many cool character designs. It's just impossible.
This game has so many great character designs. Like, legit, the character designs are so good.
I live for this. I live for this. People say it's over-designed. I say it's characteristic and exciting. Okay, that's enough. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough Dizzy to last a lifetime for me, I think, actually. But next is Soul Bad Guy, who ends up defeating Dizzy. And they sort the situation out in a more normal way, because Dizzy is like essentially like just got here, has no idea what's going on. Which is very fair. Very fair. So, you know, Fred's like, okay, well, you have no idea what's going on. This is what it is. Whatever. Just don't blow up humanity, please. Just like, okay. It's like, okay.
She's just this sweet little 3-year-old.
And so, you know, all is relatively well-ish for the time being. Dizzy is taken care of, and here we go. Here's our one jam message. Here's our one jam mention. Soul basically goes back and says, "Yeah, she's totally dead. Don't need to worry about it. She's Fine. I'm not going to give you any proof, but I promise she's dead. Right? And so, like, well, if you don't have any proof, okay. But then Jam comes forward, who is just like, is just a Chinese girl, just comes forward and, like, brings, like, I think she does, like, just brings something, is like, here, I actually did it, and claims the bounty.
I don't think she even does that much. I think Soul just doesn't bother claiming the bounty, and she goes, "Nah, JK, it was me."
And then she goes off to make a restaurant with the money. She just wants to make a restaurant.
Yeah, she literally just opens a restaurant.
And now,
congratulations, you saved the world from the scariest weapon ever made ever, period.
Here's your
I'm
restaurant.
gonna go open a restaurant about it.
Hey, sometimes you just have goals, and sometimes those goals are a restaurant.
And that's
honestly,
it for...
though, I support those goals.
That's
Good
it
for
for
her.
X, I believe. And XX we don't have to mention too much about, though it does mean I will have to draw another character, unfortunately. Though maybe no, we'll draw her later. Her name is Ino, and she is going to be very important. But for now, she's not that important. XX essentially follows, the gang, trademark, your standard roster of Guilty Gears, as they get intercepted by Ino, because Ino is working for that man. Did you forget about that man? We're talking about that man again. And that man is sort of concocting a grand plan in the background of things right now. And is, doing all sorts of wacky stuff. And is setting some interesting things up for our next game. But, for now, Ino is working on behalf of that man. And is like, alright, well, since I'm working on behalf of that man, I am going to just go up to all of that man's enemies and just, like, mess with them. And just, like, screw up their day and try and kill them. And we'll solve all the problems. So that man can do whatever that he wants. And so most of the, like, canon parts of XX are just, like, the playable characters dealing with Ino messing up their day. I believe. That's most of the canon stuff. Because there's like a lot of, like, non-canon scenarios that you can go through for each of the individual characters. It's a whole thing. But for the most part,
the storyline in Guilty Gear XX is it's a thing.
It's a thing.
You have to, like, lose specific fights and win specific fights and win them with specific timings to see the actual story, and it's a pain.
It's Blaze Blue stuff. It's Blaze Blue stuff. If you don't get the astral heat, at 55 seconds, but you won, but it's your final round, and the moon is waxing gibbous, and Mars is in retrograde, then you get the next cutscene, etc., etc. But for the most part, it's Ino working on behalf of that man, quote unquote, to screw things up. And we don't know what Ino's deal is yet. She comes in later, and we'll talk about all of her weird powers. But all you need to know is that she's like a weird time traveler, and we're not gonna go into it any more further than that until later. So stay tuned for the time traveler. Maybe plural, who knows? But
that's right, we're introducing time travel to the story. Aren't you excited, Ophelia? I'm sure it's gonna make it so much more sensical.
I'm scared.
But it turns out that Ino is actually working pretty much rogue, and not, like, actually on the behalf of that man, but is sort of just working generally in his interests. So on, like, the final climactic battle where Soul Bad Guy and Ino fight, that man finally shows himself again. The Soul Bad Guy reignites his fury and is like, Ino, please stop. I have been working non-stop on this grand plan for, like, so long, and everyone is doing exactly what I want them to. Please don't ruin this for me. Please. And he was like, alright, fine. Fine. sorry. I thought I was helping by getting rid of all of your enemies, but no. And so I was like, alright, now leave. And tells Soul Bad Guy that there is a much bigger calamity coming up in the near future. And that he has to be ready. That he's got to be ready and willing to work. And put in work and maybe even, like, cooperate a little bit. And of course, Soul Bad Guy says, no, die in a fire, I will kill you. And then, of course, Devin's like, okay, well, go hit the gym then. Have fun. Come back to me later. And dips. And, so, we've now set up, for the rest of the timeline, where it starts getting crazy. It finally gets weird. It didn't get weird yet. It finally gets weird. Because we moved to Overture. Guilty Gear 2 Overture.
Also,
And-
the only freaking game in the entire series that has a number in the title. And it's not even the second game.
It's not the second game, and it's not a fighting game.
It's the only non-fighting game. It's the only game with a number in the title, other than, like, unless you count, like, the remakes of Exerd. And it's not the second game, even though it's Guilty Gear 2.
There is a reason for it, though. It is around this time, I believe I mentioned it during BlazBlue, because this is when BlazBlue also starts, you know, kicking into high gear. Basically after this happens. But ArcSys gets bought to some degree, and they lose the rights to, like, 90% of Guilty Gear. They lose the rights to it. So now, Daisuke's grand vision has been tarnished, and now he's got to make a new game with, like, Soul Bad Guy, Kai Kisuke, and, like, maybe a few others, but, like, no one else. So, it's rough in Guilty Gear land IRL. But I think we did actually get something pretty fun out of it. I actually really like Overture. It's like a weird MOBA, but it's also a fighting game. And it's only on the Xbox 360. It's very strange. I recommend you check it out. It's very fun, actually.
It's on Steam now, too.
It's on Steam now? Oh,
Yeah, it's on Steam.
that makes me so happy. That makes
All
me
the
so
Guilty
happy.
Gear, almost all the Guilty Gear games are on Steam now. You can get the Missing Link, you can get Overture, you can get... I think they're missing Izuka.
Hey, at least we got Overture. That game was lost in the sauce for so long.
We do not talk about the Wonder Swan game. Shush, that doesn't exist.
Don't worry, there'll be a weird game that we bring up. Don't worry. If for those looking for their fix on weird games, don't worry. You'll get your fix. But 2 Overture happens sometime after this. I don't know any dates because I cannot be bothered with the dates. Yeah.
It is within... It is 3 years... No. Because Dizzy is 3 during the Wanted Gear incident.
Yes.
And then a certain other character is about 3 years old, so it's about 3 years later. No, it's around 3 years later.
Yes. So, between Overture and the last game, at some point, in an incredibly weird and potentially suspicious turn of events, Kai and Dizzy confess love to each other, and we can't get into it. We'll be here forever. But they get together. They're a power couple now, which, all right, and they have a weird child as well. I don't even know how it happens, quite frankly, because I don't think they like do anything. But like I don't know. It just happened. So they have.
I mean, do you
child.
want the in-universe explanation?
What is the? I actually don't know the in-universe explanation.
Oh god, there's actually a cutscene about this.
No. What did
Oh
they
no, it's
do?
worse than you're
What did
picturing.
they
It's
do?
worse than you're picturing.
What did they do to have a child? I don't know how gears reproduce.
So, we don't know the specifics on how gears reproduce, but we're told the story that their child is given.
Oh, I've seen this. Oh, yeah. Is that the right
So
story? I don't know if that's the correct story, but it'll suffice.
it is basically, for reasons we won't get into, weird stuff happens. And to justify stuff to the child, the explanation is, and I hope you're sitting,
ready for
Oofy, and
this.
you're sitting up.
Get
because
ready for this. You're not. It's special.
Kai plops out his eye. Dizzy plops out her eye.
Okay.
They trade eyes. And
Okay.
then a kid pops down. And then they trade eyes with the kid. And that's how he grows up and becomes an adult and how he's born. And I need you to understand that this is being explained by this child, that this is how he was conceived, to the entire rest of the Guilty Gear cast, who is looking on in horror.
It's a beautiful moment. It's a beautiful moment.
That is
Because half of them are believing the story, and half of them are going, did they really tell this child that that is how they were conceived? They plopped out their eyes, and when they hit the ground, this child was born.
I don't know what to say to that.
Welcome to Guilty Gear.
That is to say, Sin is born, and Sin is like quarter gear, because Dizzy is like half gear for some reason.
No, she's full gear.
She's full gear.
She is full gear because her dad's the prototype.
Well, you know, we'll get. That I guess Sin's half gear, which I still don't know how I still don't know how that works. How do you half gear? I don't know. Magic.
Again, I can explain, but maybe wait until we get to excerpt.
So Sin is like half gear or something, and
Sin is also full gear, but we'll explain that when we get to excerpt.
Okay.
Oh lord. So, but you know, Sin is the next in line of the justices, and Kai just hands him over to Soul.
His Soul's like the godfather now.
Yeah.
It's literally just like, hey, I don't know how to take care of a kid. You're somewhat competent, I think. He's your problem now.
Yeah, take him now. And Soul
Be
takes
your
him.
godchild, babysit them.
Yeah. So we've got Sin, who is now player, and will be important somehow. And around this time as well, that man starts doing some stuff in the background, to a place that we are going to introduce now, called the Backyard. And the Backyard, no, people are gonna lose their mind. The Backyard is a separate dimension, kind of. It's like this weird dimension of information and creation that's like literally in our dimension's backyard. It's like a giant thought place. And that man right now is doing stuff in the backyard to facilitate a grand plan, as per usual. And
We now have time travel and interdimensional travel.
all of this culminates. Oh, come on. Yes, I do want to continue watching. But all of this culminates in the creation of a woman by the name of Valentine, due to a lot of extraneous factors that we will get into. But Valentine is coming here and is going to be arriving from Backyard. And, oh god, I believe is here to grab some sort of command gear. Any command gear. Just wants one. And starts another war. Which is which will be called, I think, the Baptisma 13?
Yeah, it's the Baptisma 13 incident.
Yeah, the Baptisma 13 incident, which I will never get over that name. What? I don't understand it. I cannot comprehend it. But Valentine comes, it starts the Baptisma 13 incident. And quickly, Kai seals away Dizzy, because that's first immediate problem. Justice is, like, off somewhere, still sealed away. And so the next immediate concern is Dizzy. So seals away Dizzy, and then seals away himself, so he can't be used to unseal Dizzy. And sort of leaves the rest to the soul bad guys. Like, you can handle it, and your child too. Sure, fine. So now it is on Soul and his new basically child Sin to fight back against Valentine and make sure whatever the heck is going on here does not happen. And so they I forget if Kai gets unsealed first or this happens first, but they meet up with another gear called Dr. Paradigm, which I love him. I love him so much. He's like a cool dragon dude, and he floats in a bubble.
I was gonna say, the only thing I know about Paradigm is that he's a dragon.
Yeah, he's a cool dragon professor, and he floats in a bubble. He does not fit the rest of Guilty Gear, like, at all, and I love him for it. But they consult with Paradigm as to what the heck is even going on. And he and, like, a bunch of other gears basically started, like, a separate, like, place, essentially, where all the, like, normal gears who want to live normal lives can just go and do that. So they go over to him and they're like, what's going on? Please tell us. You're smart. Please tell us what's going on. And so Dr. Paradigm explains that, you know, all this stuff is coming from the backyard. Explains, like, the whole backyard thing that I just did to you. And that, you know, most of, like, the magic and the gear stuff that we know is all essentially just drawing power from the backyard to, like, create stuff and do weird things. So the backyard is, like, responsible for all of the gear stuff and also all of the magic stuff. It's just, like, backyard energy manipulation things or whatever. I believe, I don't know if he specifically explains this, but he essentially, like, exposits the plot for a little bit, and it comes out that that man has been working on a little project in the backyard, which we were mentioning. It's a giant cube. It's a giant cube. He put a cube in the backyard, and when he did that, he essentially just made a giant computer so he could, like, control stuff in the backyard and do a bunch of, like, basically control the backyard. He just wanted to control the backyard. We'll leave it there. And so Valentine is right now looking for command gears because the only way to get into this cube is with command gear cells. Because that man locked the door with command gear cells. Because I guess he just had those on hand. I guess it was, like, an easy method. And it was like, it'll be fine. Yeah, sure. And so it's now time to, like, go unseal Kai, and we gotta deal with this mess. We gotta make sure we gotta defeat Valentine before she gets a command gear cell. And all that stuff. However, this is a problem, as I'm sure you can imagine, because while this conversation is happening with Kai and stuff, Sin, like, runs off, like, they're mid the conversation, like, hearing some stuff. So now they gotta, like, do a mad dash to go find Sin, because Sin also has the command gear cells, and sure enough, gets captured by Valentine. Thankfully, our heroes intercept, of course. They take Sim back, and are now have to like take the fight back to the backyard, which they can only stay in for like a very short amount of time. Because the energy of the backyard is just so immense. It's the way it's described, I believe, is like going underwater. If you like don't come up to like breathe, essentially, on like a spiritual level, like you just die because it's just too much for your body to handle.
Ah.
Yeah, it's wild. But while they're like gearing up to go to the backyard and beat people up and destroy the cube and destroy Valentine and all that stuff, that man comes out and is like, hey, you remember when I mentioned that there was going to be a big calamity at some point in the future and that we were going to have to work together a little bit? Yeah, now is that time. And of course, what does Soul Bad Guy do? No, I hate you, I'm going to kill you, die. And so they fight, of course.
Okay, but to be fair, that man turned Soul into a robot, killed his wife, made her into a robot, and
Yes.
then made Soul kill his wife's robot self.
It only makes what's going to happen even funnier. But is not able to do that much to that man still. Still not a great matchup. But that man is eventually like, okay, listen, I'm not giving you an option anymore. And gives Soul and the gang like a magical like sort of like shield basically, so they can survive longer in the backyard. I was like, alright, listen, you don't have to do it with me, but can you please at least deal with the problem? He's like, alright, I mean, I guess I was going to do it anyway. I kinda don't want to because you asked me to, but fine. So they head into the backyard to go fight Valentine and stuff and deal with that issue. And they are successful. There's a big battle, and Valentine turns into a giant castle. It's a whole thing. But interestingly,
Castle?
yeah, a castle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look,
Don't
this
worry
is
about
not called a Hinged Rant.
I know. I'm making sure that my notes are filled.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, a castle.
Okay.
Okay. And so beats they beat up Valentine, and bad guy takes his like sword and just beats up the cube. Beats up Valentine, beats up the cube, and destroys both of them. However, and I hate to say this, but as we will soon find out, and I don't know if Soul figures this out. He does recognize Valentine as a little familiar, but
A little bit, yeah.
yeah, a little bit familiar. But little does Soul Bad Guy know that unfortunately, Valentine is in fact a partial copy of his wife. So he has just killed his wife again. 07. You really do hate to see it. Soul Bad Guy killed Arya again. Mad unfortunate.
I'm sure this is definitely the last time that's gonna happen.
Oh. But now this is dealt with, so they get out of there. They're like, okay, we're good. Dizzy can be unsealed and everything. We can chill. Everything is fine. The Baptisma 13 incident is over. We are good. We made it. And now I gotta draw Valentine. Because Valentine is quite important. And maybe I'll draw Sin. Should I draw Sin? I think I want to draw Sin instead. Sin's got like the Soul Bad Guy coat on. He's pretty cool. I forget he's got like the Kisuke colors. and the vague, like, kind of dress thing going on that old Kai has. I believe. Yeah, we'll do one of these. And he also wields a flag as his main weapon, which is great.
A flagpole.
It's great. I live for the flag, actually. Yeah, I think it's like one of these or something. And then there's gotta be a belt, of course. It's Guilty Gear. Of course there's a belt. If there isn't, I'm terribly sorry. I don't think you'll be missing the belts, though. It's got the... Of course. Wow. Yeah. It's got the circles. Classic soul bad guy stuff up front. And he... Well, sure. And I think he actually does get sleeves, which is a big upgrade.
I don't know. He's the resident twink boy.
True.
Twunk. He's a twunk.
And then, yeah. And we'll give him the flag. And there's a flag up here, I promise. Whoa. Cool flag. And he's got an eye patch. We'll get to that. Because, he, if I remember correctly, Kai and, Sin, they swapped eyeballs, because Kai was kind of worried about the whole, like, dizzy thing, where there was, like, a super-powered child walking around. That was a problem. And so, he just took out his eye, swapped it. They swapped eyes. So now he's got a little nut.
That's where the whole story I mentioned comes from earlier.
So that means he gets a cool eye patch. Yeah. Look at him. He doesn't even... He has no conception of multiplication going on in that head. What a beautiful child.
Yeah, Sin is very head empty, no thoughts.
Yeah, he's doing his best. He's doing his best. And I'll put a little Valentine balloon, because for some reason Valentine carries a balloon in this game. It's got a big face on it. It's like one of these. Yeah. And a big dummy grin. Yeah. His teeth, of course. Why would it be normal? Why would
I
it
have
be
learned
normal?
much, and nothing in this game appears normal.
Yes.
A series of games.
By the way, up until this point, if all you do is play the games, you have zero idea what's going on.
Yeah, none of this is actually set in game.
None of this that we've mentioned is set in game.
This all gets elaborated down here.
It's
and
all
in, like, side novels.
Yeah, it's all in the novels, it's all in the audiobooks. It kind of starts getting mentioned in Exerd. Like, the story is there, it's in the background. They don't mention it in the games at all. Guilty Gear is a community. It is the fighting game community with arguably the most lore, and the community that knows the least about its game's lore.
Yeah! Which is very funny. Okay, so, Exerd. We have a lot to go over. This is where, like, the bulk of the story is. Which might be unfortunate for the time estimate. I don't know where we are right now, but... push on, push forward. Exerd. So, remember we mentioned Valentine. Valentine is going to stop being a person and start being like a species. It's like there are going to be multiple Valentines.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Valentine,
Okay.
yeah, Valentines are all like clones
Yeah.
of Soul's wife.
Because
Okay.
they're robots. They're biological robots. So when
Okay.
Valentine
Okay.
dies, they just make more Valentines.
they just so we will be
Just pull a new one
focusing
off the shelf.
on the Valentines in particular for Exert. Our most important one right now is Ramlethal Valentine, who appears pretty much just as suddenly. Oh, I'm so glad I don't have to draw arms for this. I'm so happy. The coat covers the arms. Thank you so much. But
Character designer just didn't want to do hands that day, and that's completely valid.
yeah, neither would I.
Mm-hmm.
He's got shorts, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Is this anatomically correct? Probably not. It's too late now. Yeah, these shorts are way too... these shorts are way too close. Let's get more like up here. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah. More like up here. Yeah, sure. That'll do a little better. Sure. It's a mess. Sure, this is a fine Valentine. And she's got the silly hat. Very important. It's got the poink. Welcome. Enter Ramlethal Valentine, who appears and is like, "Alright, we're taking over the world, baby!" And alongside her appears a large, what appears to be a weapon, called the Cradle. And who's controlling the Cradle right now? None other than these 5 fellas. I believe it's the 5 fellas that we talked about earlier who originally introduced, not introduced, but developed, the magical technology that got spread around the world. I think it's those guys. And those guys, they are chilling in the Cradle. And Ramlethal here is here to aid, and they are here for their nefarious plot. What is their nefarious plot? Because it isn't actually taking over the world. It kind of is. But in order to go into their nefarious plot, I'm so sorry. We need to talk about the universal will and basically God. So, a long time ago, before the events of anything that we've discussed, back in way old times, the original, who was just chilling in the world, discovered the backyard, and that's how they became the original. That's how they got introduced to magic and stuff. So, with that knowledge, they created a cool robot, basically, called the Universal Will, and gave it one directory to protect all of humanity, right? To just protect all of the humans. Very noble goal, very respectable. But the problem with this is that it's a very hyper intelligent, cool robot magic fella. And so, given only that one command, because I guess they didn't invent anything better back then, given only that one command, it sort of just simmered in the backyard for a while and chilled and tried to figure out what that even was. And unfortunately, eventually came to the conclusion that the humans that was described to them, they don't exist. They don't actually exist anywhere on the Earth. And so now it is the Universal Will's goal to create those humans that were described to her and create like a new world that is, in their eyes, just infinitely better in every way. So Valentine here, the Valentines are going to be working on behalf of the Universal Will to try and bring that about. We'll get into how eventually. The weird people, the weird like people in the cradle, are also looking to aid the Universal Will, but only because they want to control the Universal Will and take that power for themselves so they can reshape the world how they want it. So it's a weird situation right now with these two powers like coming together but still kind of awkwardly vying for power on their own merits. So we got Ramlethal, we got the things, and we got more people. I'm so sorry. We also have Elfelt Valentine, who was brought in for similar reasons to Ramlethal Valentine. And of course, we must remember these are all copies of Soul's wife. And
they look just like her. Except for Ramlethal for some reason.
I don't know what's up with Ramlethal. They all, quote unquote, look like Arya. Quote unquote. And so it is up to, of course, our heroes, our blessed be, to deal with this situation. It appears like the cradle is attacking places, but really what's happening is that the group in the cradle, the council, I'm just gonna call them the council, they are teleporting the cradle back and forth from into the backyard so they can talk amongst each other, casually destroy stuff along the way, all that fun stuff. And meanwhile, Valentine is off destroying things, and she is looking for essentially a good way to get to justice, of course, because it always comes back to justice. It will never stop. Well, maybe it'll stop coming back to justice, but for now, it's coming back to justice. But it turns out that Elfelt and Ramlethal are sort of linked a little bit, and Elfelt's a lot nicer. So Elfelt can nullify the powers of Ramlethal and vice versa. They're weird opposites. So our heroes, they meet up with Elfelt, who's way more normal of a person, doesn't want to destroy all of humanity, and they use her to nullify Ramlethal's powers so they can get her into custody, so they can have a pleasant chat as to what on earth is even going on. I forgot to draw her hair. She's got it's not really much to draw, but but they take her to questioning, and they realize that some of them, most of them realize that Ramlethal doesn't actually mean that much harm. She's sort of just a pawn in someone else's game. So they go through the effort of essentially sort of reprogramming her and reintroducing her to humans in society, and showing her that it's actually pretty cool. In some of the best moments, I think, in all of Guilty Gear, there is of course the classic where Ramlethal for the first time eats a fast food burger, and this single piece of food is so delicious and so revelatory that she does actually change her mind a little bit on humanity.
I mean, we've all had that burger.
Yeah,
so.
This is a very
I'm kind of yeah.
So, of course, and oh god, and alongside this, we also have to introduce another character because he's important. But I'm excited to talk about him. His name's Bedman. Bedman is also going to be working pretty much as Universal Will's right-hand man. Batman's deal is my glorious, most favoritist Redditor. He is so smart. He is canonically, like Giga Brain. Canonically, his brain is just too big. He is too smart because he is like hooked. I think it's because he's like hooked up like pretty much right to the backyard. So he has all of this information flying through his head, and it's so much that they have to put him to sleep eternally just so he'll like stop thinking. Because it's just too much for his body. Otherwise, he will just die. He is, by the way,
a playable character in the games.
In
the coma. He is so powerful and so brilliant. He can fight as a participant in the games in a coma. From his bed.
And he basically lives in his like own weird dream world, basically. Because he's constantly sleeping. Because if he wakes up, he dies immediately. Because it's just too much. And so, he is also kicking around and beating people up on behalf of the Universal Will. But there's a pretty interesting and important moment where Bedman, because Bedman and Ramlethal are still like they're working for the same person still. So, you know, at this point they're still on decent terms. Where Bedman shows like the importance of life. Because right before this, Ramlethal has been, like, given a dog. By the way, she gets, like, a cute puppy. She gets a cute puppy to try and show her, like, look how cool the world is. Look at this cute heckin' pupper, ew. And this is not enough on its own, unfortunately. Unfortunately, prepare yourselves. So Bedman, because unfortunately, canonically, he is actually very smart and does do some smart things. Very sad to hear. But, he has a talk with Ramlethal about, like, how important life is. And they have this very interesting conversation where Ramlethal's like, yeah, I don't care, I don't see it. You could probably kill the dog, and I wouldn't care because if you just replace it with another dog, it's like the same dog, so nothing's actually changed. And so, Batman explains that there's, like, something important there. And, you know, Ramlethal isn't listening. So, yes, Batman just flat out just kills the dog for a couple seconds and ruins Ramlethal's life for, a hot couple seconds and then just brings the dog back. And it teaches her in that moment, like, oh, no, wait, no, I actually do care about the dog. Wait, no, I'm really sad right now, actually. This sucks. So, through moments like this, Ramlethal is shown how cool, you know, humans and the world is, and all that fun stuff. It's shown that, and it's like, alright, understood. Humanity is cool. We are friends now. And Ramlethal mellows out. We're all good. It's all good. And now, the only thing to deal with is the group in the cradle, of course. Very important stuff. Unfortunately, they have they have like a force field around them or something. I want to say it's called an absolute defense Hellion, but I don't know if that's true because I feel like I'm mixing that up with Blaze Blue. But they're using the absolute defense Hellion, and it turns out they actually found a way to get to Justice. Turns out when they sealed her away, they inadvertently had just sealed her somewhere randomly, I think in the backyard or some adjacent place. So they eventually found Justice chilling in the backyard, like, oh, we can work with this. So their goal is to revive Justice, because of course it is, with a phenomenon called Saint Elmo's Fire, I think? It's like a giant lightning bolt that happens once every 15 years. I think I'm getting these details right.
Roughly like that, yeah. I
Something
don't
like
remember
that.
those specifics.
But they want to use St. Elmo's fire, which happens once every 15 years. They want to redirect it through the cradle into the backyard, into Justice, to power up Justice again. And this is, of course, Bad News Bears. So, Soul, and eventually, that man, who comes back, is like, hey, hi. And of course, Soul's like, oh, hell no. I want to kill you. Die. But he's like, wait. You're not going to be able to destroy the force field on your own. Let's do this together. We're finally here. We're approaching that whole calamity thing that I was talking about earlier. And we're basically here. I'm going to need you. We're going to have to work together on this one, alright? And Soul reluctantly agrees. And they destroy the force field together and take down the cradle. So they can't revive Justice. Very fun, very cool. That's basically Exerd, but we have more because Exerd kept getting updated with more story. After this, it turns out that Elfelt was a traitor. Elfelt was a traitor bad guy. Not like you get the idea. Bad guy. Alright, give up. Evil person. And though she is also just like a pawn, you know? So they're all like, well darn. I mean, we're not gonna hate you because you're being piloted by, you know, yada yada yada. And they sort of get the information. But, the Universal Will herself comes out, just grabs Elfelt, takes her back. Because now that the group that are now dead, they're gone now because they blew up the cradle. Now that they found Justice, the Universal was like, oh yes, I want Justice too. And so brings Elfelt to Justice and just straps her on there and gets ready to merge them. I forget with what. It's like a giant beam of energy. It's another giant beam of energy. I forget what it's called, but it's another giant beam of energy. So, they're gonna use another giant beam of energy to merge a Valentine with Justice. Because if you'll remember, both Justice and Valentine's, they are both Soul's wife, Aria. So, the Universal Will wants to combine them, because it has something to do with it has something to do with Scales of Juno, I believe, or something along those lines. But bringing those two together, basically, it's going to end the world and is going to end the world and bring upon the new world that the Universal Will wants to make. Because of course Justice always does this. Justice is great at ending the world, it seems. So, Soul and that man are now still at each other's throats, but still very much like, alright, this is terrible calamity. I guess we'll work together. Finally. And so they come together to go into the backyard and stop this from happening. And this is when that man reveals that he is the one who makes Valentines. He's also the Valentine maker. He's like, yeah, it's me. And it's a bit of an early drop for him because it turns out that man was making Valentines because, and I kid you not, this is like an apology for killing his wife. He literally said, I'm sorry for killing your wife. Here, I made you a new one. So, they go to the backyard and he reveals that he had made a proper copy of Aria, called Jacko. I think it's Jacko Valentine's, also a
Yeah.
Valentine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Another
it's Jacko Valentine.
But this one is special because it has a part of Arya's soul in it. Something that he kept like a long time. He took like half of it from Justice.
Hey,
So
I put your wife's soul in a jar. Here's the jar back.
So, the plan now is to swap Elfel out with Jacko, so when they fuse, instead of making like a world-ending calamity, they make one whole Arya. As like one big apology gift, hey, I'm sorry I killed your wife, from that man. So... it takes a lot of effort, and it turns out when the beam hits, they do manage to swap out Jacko, and Elfelt. They managed to do the swap. But it's not enough. That's it. It's not enough. They do the fire, the beam comes in, it's not enough. Arya's rejecting. Not good. And eventually, but because it's not enough, Soul is like, alright, listen, I got you. I just made this new weapon. And by the way, this new weapon, because it's important to the story, it can like redirect energy and stuff. It's called the Junkyard Dog, which is so funny. But it gets pieced together between Exerd and Overture in, I kid you not, a Guilty Gear pachinko machine, which is canon to the lore.
Okay. Every time I think I've understood some things, you keep adding new stuff. I'm loving this.
I don't think we're gonna get to Strive.
We might
But
not
Strive is where it gets more unhinged.
Oh my goodness.
I would do an entire separate episode for Strive if I needed to. It's so funny. But so it takes a
We need
Junkyard Dog.
flowcharts if we do Strive.
Yeah, we do.
Oh my.
Takes the Junkyard Dog and perfect parries another giant beam of energy into Jacko and Justice to like force them to merge. And now the threat is dealt with. Because Arya's soul accepts finally, and it condenses into Jacko, and now Jacko is not one half Soul's wife, but now one full Soul's wife. So, at last, Soul finally has his wife Asterisk again, kind of. Not really, because Jacko is still, like, a sentient, like, creature all on her own. So, it's, you know, she's got a whole thing going on where she's got, like, two people inside her now. But it's basically kind of Soul's wife. It's close enough. It's close enough. So, of course, by now, the Universal Will is beat up, of course. And of course, you know, beat up, and they funnel the Universal Will into like a new robot, and they lock her up. Soul has a fake real wife now. At some along this, Kai also Illyria gets formed, and Kai becomes a king, and that man finally reveals his identity as Oscar R. Kreutz, famed Catboy. I wish I was kidding you. Oscar is a Catboy. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry about everything. I was trying to help the whole time, even if I like ruined everyone's life accidentally. you'll just have to trust me on that. But, like, I'm really sorry about all this, man. But hey, this whole thing, this one's for you. You can keep your wife, by the way. I won't kill her again.
So now that we've gotten as far as explaining Dizzy and her relationship with Kai, that's how they get Kai to volunteer to be king. It's basically no one knows that Dizzy is Dizzy, that she is Justice's daughter and a gear at that. And Kai is this massive public figure. So the other two kings of Illyria basically go, you either take the position as the third king of Illyria, or we're outing your wife as the most dangerous being on Earth that is wanted.
Oops. It looks like we're not gonna make it to Strive, which is okay, because Strive's another episode. It will probably also take 2 hours.
I'm down for Strive Part 2.
I think I might have to have some questions I have answered, and all of my questions lead to more questions.
Soul in like a weird position in the family tree. Soul has always been in a weird position in the family tree. Because like every gear is like the daughter of Arya. And but also kind of Frederick.
And then there's Dizzy, who is literally their child.
Literally their child. So, Soul is like a double dad here. Dad 2 times over. And for Soul is also Sin. Sin. Is Sin's dad, but also Sin's like granddad. And who knows where Kai fits into all this?
Adoptive father, but biological grandfather in the case of Soul and Sin.
Soul the quadruple dad.
Dad squared. Reluctant dad squared.
To leave us excited for Strive, now that Asuka is out, he turns himself in to the government. Specifically the American government, which has reformed. And they are just about to have a peace summit. So now the whole world knows who committed all of the atrocities of the Guilty Gear world. And they are turning themselves in right before a peace summit. What could possibly go wrong? Find out next time?
Yep.
Next time.
We'll get there. I don't know when I'm gonna be scheduled in next, but I'm very excited. We'll finish the drawings. It'll be a good time. It'll be fun, and maybe we can even discuss some side characters next time if we finish up Strive in an hour or so. But we're done for now. Class dismissed. I need to eat the pizza for comfort.
Well, Professor Bun, I have some questions.
Mm-hmm.
But most importantly, where can the wonderful people find you if they would like to hear some more Unhinged lore?
Yes, you can find me on my personal channel, BunniestBunRena, where I play video game. I play video game, I make music. If you want to hear my music, I am basically just as good as what you're hearing. No direct comparison. But you can find me on Bodaciously Havoc on Bandcamp. Very exciting. But other than that, I kind of just stream at my own channel, and sometimes I rant there, and sometimes I make music, and who knows, I'm playing Five Nights at Freddy's right now. How exciting! Wow! Maybe I'll play some Guilty Gear on there. But, actually, I have big news as we come to an end here. I have big news. Because if you liked what you heard today, if you had a fun time with me, and you also happen to own Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R, I have fantastic news. If you are a lady arcader, or happen to be a woman in gaming, we are hosting a Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R Lady Arcaders Invitational Tournament to match with the vibes. That's right. We are putting everyone on the chopping block to test their might in the video game. The real video game. You forget Guilty Gear is a video game sometimes when I talk about it, but you can play it. And so, for all my lady arcaders out there, if you are interested, I am going to make the post right now as we speak. Let me fetch it real quick. Where are we? Ladies not discovered. There we go.
I am re-downloading right now.
Re-download right now. The post is up. It's live. You can register right now if you're a lady arcader. And if you aren't a lady arcader, but you would like to be, then we recommend you come on over and say hello. And that will be it for me.
And Alara, any things from you? Where can the wonderful people find you and your Guilty Gear opinions?
All over the place. Occasionally I stream here on Twitch on my own channel. I'm Alara Cutie basically everywhere because finding just Alara is basically impossible. But yeah, I hang out here a lot. I hang out at a bunch of smaller marathons a lot. I just like hanging out and vibing and doing video game stuff and speedrunning. What about you?
Well, I am here a lot, but I am also super happy. Thank y'all so much for that showcase. I have so many questions that I am eagerly awaiting for when we can plan a part 2 and learn a little bit more.
What if I told you one of the characters that we get to talk about next time is Blue? He's just blue.
Oh, I'm very interested, and that just raises further questions. Y'all, we're gonna have to come back for more of this with further questions later on. However, we are going to take a quick little intermission before we get you some announcements and find you some other cozy people to watch for the night. We will be back shortly, Lady Arcaders. See you soon. Hello and welcome back. I hope y'all learned as much as I did in that very unhinged Guilty Gear lore explanation. Can we have another awesome time for both Alara and Professor Bun? Now, next time on a track mode, this upcoming Sunday, we have RP2 Knight and Sweet Peebs, who will be giving an introductory bridge lesson, which is actually something that I've always wanted to learn to play, so y'all should join for that as well. And Dijon Ketchup will be doing Rock Band 3, showing off some Jonathan Colton songs. Both are going to be fantastic, and y'all should join us for that. I'd also like to let you know that submissions for track mode showcases are always open. So if you like what you just saw and would like to submit something of yourself, showing off any game you love, please do send us your showcase ideas at ladyarcaders.com/start. Also, Lady Arcaders is hosting our very first game development jam, Lag Jam, running from Thursday, November 14th to Sunday the 17th. If you'd like more information, type !link Lag Jam in chat. Now, we would love y'all to stick around for the raid. We are going to be sending y'all off to one of our amazing Lady Arcaders, Princess Shortcake, who is doing some melatonin speedrun practices. So please stick around. We would love to have you as we raid off and show some support to one of our other lovely women in gaming. And of course, thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you had a comfy, cozy time, and you have a wonderful night. See y'all soon.